Thank you. Good afternoon, students.
Message. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Welcome to the session on GST. The topic what we are covering, the chapter is taxation and GST, as you know, we are covering. So if you would have seen, there was one screen which was displayed on the screen, which is what? Can you resemble something from this picture? Yes. Transport vehicle, truck, delivery truck, lorry, transportation of goods. Yes. Truck, e-way bill. Very good. Lorry, correct. Correct. So we can easily resemble. And yes, one person has said rightly, Ms. Priya, that yes, e-way bills are for movement of goods. Exactly. So they say that picture speaks louder than word, right? A picture definitely speaks louder than words. When you think of e-way bill, definitely we will think of this lorry. Okay. Because we've seen traditionally in the past for so many years that when there is movement of goods, there will be an officer who will stop it and he will ask for the documents. That is called as check post. Correct. So what is check post? When you transport goods from one state to another state, there used to be officers on the borders और जो भी लॉरी बीच में आता था उसको पकड़ के रोकते थे, उसका क्लियरेंस होने के बाद उसे आगे भेजते थे. Correct. So that was the concept before GST. From one state, a movement from one state to another state, every movement of goods had to get intercepted and had to get checked. But now, after GST, what is the concept? After GST, there is no concept of check post. Check post का system, at least in the law, हट गया है. तो there is no checking required कि आप जब गुड्स मूव करते हो एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट में हर लॉरी चेक होगा, ये जरूरी नहीं है. तो चेक पोस्ट का कॉन्सेप्ट खत्म हो गया है. तो अभी क्या आया है, क्योंकि चेक पोस्ट बंद हो गया है तो लोग कुछ भी भेज देंगे. करेक्ट. वॉट एवर दे फील दे विल सेंड विथ बिल विदाउट बिल. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट इलीगल ट्रांसपोर्ट, आई एम सेइंग अबाउट लीगल ट्रांसपोर्ट बट विदाउट अ इनवॉइस, या फिर इनवॉइस में कुछ वैल्यू रहेगा, लॉरी के अंदर कुछ और वैल्यू रहेगा. राइट. दोज थिंग्स आर आल्सो पॉसिबल. सो हाउ विल द गवर्नमेंट नो कि जो भी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हो रहा है, गुड्स का मूवमेंट हो रहा है, वो ठीक से हो रहा है या नहीं? दे नीड सम कंट्रोल. क्योंकि सिर्फ जीएसटी सेल्फ असेसमेंट में लगाने से काफी नहीं होगा. हमारा देश आज भी बहुत ऐसे लोगों से भरा है जो है ना, they will still do wrong things. Irrespective of government's actions, they will still come up with innovative ideas and do some creative things. ठीक है. और जितना हो सकता है टैक्स को बचाने के लिए कुछ भी कर देंगे. सो द गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो नीड्स टू बी एट इट्स टोज कि ऐसा नहीं हो कि बिजनेस में लोग तो बिजनेस कर रहे हैं और हमें जीएसटी नहीं दे रहे. ओके. तो इसीलिए क्या करना पड़ेगा, हमको प्रॉपर मैकेनिज्म मेंटेन करना पड़ेगा. तो इसीलिए ये ई वे बिल कॉन्सेप्ट लाया गया है, जिसमें वी विल सी दैट all such movement of goods which is happening from one state to another state या within the state also, आपको एक डॉक्यूमेंट रेज करना पड़ेगा, ई वे बिल. So that is exactly our topic for today, called as ई वे बिल. ठीक है. Now I'll tell you why this relevance of this lorry is here. Now, what has happened is Board of Studies has just made an announcement that all the students who are attending the Board of Studies from the beginning of the class till the end of the class, okay? Listen to this carefully. From the beginning of the class till the end of the class, whoever is attending, they will get a sweet box. Okay. So they have ordered for you all a box of sweet for those students who are attending this, answering the MCQs, and also will answer the questions which Swati madam will take. So if you answer completely, they have ordered 500 sweet boxes because everybody will get this. Okay. Now they have ordered from a sweet shop nearby and they have placed an order for 500 sweet boxes. 500 sweet boxes. The sweet person is saying that I am not able to transport it with my thela gadi. So you please book up a lorry. So we have the institute has booked up a lorry and the lorry has gone to the sweet shop and it has loaded the sweet boxes and it has transporting. Now from here, I'm there on the fifth floor. I can see the lorry, which is just 500 meters away from me. The sweet boxes are ready. The person is ready. Packing भी हो चुका है. Lorry के अंदर भी है. But then it is stopped there. The exact place where you are seeing it is stopped there itself. Now, if the lorry is stopped there, I can see it. Okay. It is ready to eat. Okay. It is just ready to eat, but not on my plate. My plate is ready, the sweets are ready, but the lorry has been stopped there by an officer. The officer is now questioning where is the bill. So I got a call from the lorry driver. साहब ये हमको रोक दिए हैं और मैंने बोला इधर तो है 500 मीटर आ जाओ. बोल रहा है नहीं, जीएसटी ऑफिसर ने पकड़ लिया है, वो हमको जाने नहीं दे रहा है. उसको क्या चाहिए? इनवॉइस चाहिए. तो हमने द स्वीट पर्सन हु हैज ट्रांसपोर्ट द गुड्स, ठीक है, जहां यहाँ पे फेमस मैसूर पाक मिलता है बैंगलोर का, तो मैसूर पाक है इसके अंदर. इट इज गिवन बाय द मैसूर पाक स्वीट कंपनी. स्वीट वाला ने बोला कि मैं इनवॉइस तो साथ में दे चुका हूं. तो इनवॉइस कॉपी है लॉरी वाले के पास. वो लॉरी वाला क्या कर रहा है? दे रहा है कॉपी, इनवॉइस कॉपी जीएसटी ऑफिसर को. लेकिन फिर भी जीएसटी ऑफिसर नहीं मान रहा है. जीएसटी ऑफिसर को कुछ और चाहिए. तो क्या चाहिए जीएसटी ऑफिसर को, बताइए. He's given him the invoice. The supplier has supplied it with the invoice. अभी टैक्स तो इमीडिएटली नहीं भरेगा. वो टैक्स तो जब रिटर्न फाइल करेगा तब भरेगा. So you cannot ask him to show him the tax payment. Okay. So he will need, थोड़ा इंग्लिश भी मिक्स करो, मैं तो मैसूर से. ओके ओके धनुष. So he is transporting the goods. The sweet person, Mysore Park person, has given the invoice. Now the officer saying he needs something else. What is that? Everybody is saying, sir. The first answer I get instantly. The first answer what I got instantly is the officer, other than invoice, he wants bribe. Arey yaar, this is Delhi ladke. Delhi people will always think like this, that you don't need any other documents, you just need bribe. Not correct. But after that first mischievous answer, there are various other answers which have given the correct answer that yes, they need the e-way bill. Oh God, the sweet person said, should I raise e-way bill? I don't know. Because he's never dealt with getting such a big order of 500 boxes. He just has to get one box, two box, or he used to get maximum 50 boxes. वो तो सामने वाला हाथ में पकड़ के लेकर जाता था. उसको कभी ई-वे बिल का दिमाग में ही नहीं आया. So now the institute has come to you saying that boys, we have promised that we will deliver the sweet box to you if you attend from beginning to end. Now, the sweet box we have ordered, now it is not delivered yet to this sir's office. If this is delivered here, sir will give it to you all. So, what should we recommend it? What should we talk to the officer? or should we tell the sweet box boy to do something? What should we do? So now we have to give the suggestion to the institute कि आपका मिठाई आप तक कैसे पहुंच जाए. ठीक है. सो नाउ यू अंडरस्टूड कि ई वे बिल का कितना इंपॉर्टेंस है कि जो 500 मीटर के दूर जस्ट 500 meters फार व्हाट इज द सीट बॉक्स इट विल नॉट रीच यू इफ यू डोंट हैव द प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. Okay, so Kavita madam is saying that you have to issue a delivery challan. Should we issue delivery challan? Should we issue an invoice? Apart from invoice, should we also raise a e-way bill? Oh my God, what a struggle to get a box of sweet. Yes, it is a struggle. How are we going to accomplish this? So when we read the provisions of e-way bill, this struggle will get resolved, and hopefully by the end of the class, we will resolve and give them a solution and get our sweet box to us. Okay, good to go. Come on, I need at least 10 replies. Otherwise, I'm not going to move forward. Like how the vehicle is standing there, I will also stand here and I will not move. Very good. Yes. Let's go. Awesome. We are ready. Yes. Yes. Correct. Otherwise, learning e-way bill is only theoretical. Okay. We don't want to just keep something theory. We want to grasp it. That's why let's put in full answer. My answer is correct or not? Correct, Nidhi. Your answer is correct. Yes. Apart from invoice, e-way bill is required. You're right. But why? For what value? For one sweet box also e-way bill is required. वो पढ़ेंगे हम इस क्लास में. क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है ई-वे बिल का? क्या हर एक मूवमेंट के लिए ई-वे बिल लेना पड़ेगा? मैं स्वीट बॉक्स की दुकान में गया, उसके बगल में मुझे एक अच्छा शर्ट मिल गया, शर्ट लेके आया, उसके लिए भी ई-वे बिल चाहिए. All of this we will discuss whether for every movement of goods it is required or not required. Good. What is e-way bill? For quick and easy movement of goods across India without any hindrance, a document has to be generated. That document is called e-way bill, right? Now, what, as we had said, before GST came in, there was a check post. और check post पे क्या होता था? गाड़ियां चेक करती जाती थी. हर गाड़ी को चेक करते हैं बिल के साथ, डिलीवरी के साथ, एंड देन अगर गुड्स मैच होता है, देन दे यूज्ड टू सबमिट, देन दे यूज्ड टू अलाउ द गुड्स टू मूव फॉरवर्ड. तो ये मूवमेंट, हर मूवमेंट के लिए हमको क्या करना पड़ेगा? चेक करना पड़ेगा ऑफिसर को कि उसके डॉक्यूमेंट्स उसके गुड्स के साथ मैच होता है नहीं. सो आई विल ट्रांसपोर्ट. सो इमेजिन बिफोर जीएसटी केम इन, दे यूज्ड टू बी दिस चेक पोस्ट. चेक पोस्ट में एक लॉरी नहीं रहेगी, 30 लॉरी रहेगी, और लोड ज्यादा होने पे ज्यादा लॉरी हो जाएगी. फिर एक एक को चेक करेगा, तब मेरे लॉरी का टर्न कब आएगा? दे हैव टू वेट देयर, राइट? सो इट यूज्ड टू बी सो वेरी कम्बरसम. तो इसीलिए क्या किया, उस ई-वे बिल कॉन्सेप्ट को हटा दिया गया है. ओके, एंड नाउ there is no question of check post. So then what will happen? There will be some other aspect which has to be checked, which is what we will see. The power to raise e-way bill. Now, who is telling us to raise e-way bill? Government through the GST Act is saying us to raise a e-way bill. Now, how GST get that power? Through the section. The section is section 68, which says that you have to raise a e-way bill for any movement of goods. Now, why is this e-way bill required? To check unscrupulous, unfair trade, because a lot of people are doing unfair trade. They are not doing the things the correct way, right? To check that कि ठीक है, आपने इनवॉइस रेज कर दिया, टैक्स तो आप इमीडिएटली नहीं भरोगे. टैक्स यू विल पे टू द एंड ऑफ द मंथ. By till then, the goods have already moved. आपने हैंडशेक कर लिया है. The goods have changed hands from the seller to the buyer. Now, how do you know whether you will pay GST or no? Right? तो इसीलिए क्या करते हैं, ई-वे बिल रेज करते हैं ताकि ई-वे बिल से ट्रैकिंग हो जाए. और ई-वे बिल में अगर आप नहीं पकड़े गए तो फिर आपको ई-वे बिल में पकड़े गए, आप अपने मूवमेंट किया और ई-वे बिल रेज नहीं किया, ओके, तो फिर ब्लॉक हो जाएगा. But sir, today also there is this jam of vehicles. Yes, they are still there. Why? Because the check post is gone, but there are inspection officers. squad officers who can do the inspection. Earlier, it was all the vehicles, some were left. Now, only few are selected. अगर पहले की तरह चेक पोस्ट होता अनुभव तो फिर आपको क्या होता है लंबी लंबी कतार होती है अभी लंबी तो नहीं है छोटी है because those check post officers are not there they are replaced by squad officers who will based on some intelligence they will decide whether to be verified or not तो उनके पास इंटेलिजेंस पहुंच जाती है तो फिर वो सिलेक्टेड व्हीकल्स ही चेक करते हैं ओके एंड देन to put to rest the worries of different states that they were losing out on GST revenues पहले it was all state specific now GST is a center specific and the state specific तो कौन से स्टेट को GST आना चाहिए तो states are worried तो इसीलिए these are the reasons why e-way bill brought it and then introduce uniformity across the state for seamless generation of e-way bill तो एक ई-वे बिल जब आप रेज करते हो एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट में मूव करते हो दैट सेम ई-वे बिल इज बी यूज्ड आपको हर स्टेट में ई-वे बिल रेज करने की जरूरत नहीं है ठीक है व्हेन आई ट्रांसपोर्ट गुड्स फ्रॉम बैंगलोर टू तमिलनाडु बीच में आंध्र प्रदेश भी आता है द व्हीकल विल हैव टू मूव फ्रॉम बैंगलोर टू तमिलनाडु टू आंध्र प्रदेश तो फिर मुझे क्या हर स्टेट में ई-वे बिल रेज करनी पड़ेगी नहीं आपको हर स्टेट में ई-वे बिल रेज करने की जरूरत नहीं है आप यहाँ पे रेज करोगे और आपको ऑफिसर बीच में कहीं पर भी पकड़ ले दैट ई-वे बिल इज वैलिड ओके व्हेन टू जनरेट when should you generate the e-way bill important it is prior to movement of goods prior to movement of goods via a conveyance मतलब जो भी आप मूवमेंट करते हो इन अ व्हीकल would inform each transaction details to the tax department and obtain a acknowledgement number आपको गुड्स मूवमेंट करने से पहले ई-वे बिल रेज करना पड़ेगा एंड और आपको अक्नॉलेजमेंट नंबर मिलेगा मतलब कंफर्म हो जाएगा कि आपने ई-वे बिल रेज किया है सिंपल है ई-वे बिल क्या है एक रिसिप्ट या डॉक्यूमेंट है विच इज इश्यूड बाय अ कैरियर giving details and instructions giving details and instructions giving details and instructions relating to the shipment of consignment of goods and the details include name of the consigner name of the consignee the point of origin of the consignment its destination and the route so basically e-way bill is what e-way bill is not an invoice e-way bill is not giving any new levy or new power to the government to levy the tax टैक्स तो हम इनवॉइस हमको पता है व्हाट आर द डॉक्यूमेंट्स रिक्वायर्ड वी हैव स्टडीड द डॉक्यूमेंट्स व्हिच आर रिक्वायर्ड इन जीएसटी वन इज इनवॉइस फिर डेबिट नोट फिर डिलीवरी चालान राइट दीज आर द डॉक्यूमेंट्स व्हिच आर यूज्ड फॉर which is allowed under the last chapter which you read on accounts under GST. So those are the documents which is required. But apart from this, when you are moving any goods, then you have to generate a e-way bill. Okay? Difference between delivery challan and e-way bill? Difference between all the documents and e-way bill because all documents are the one which establish the transaction and e-way bill is a document which helps or which has to get generated for movement of the goods like Ms. Priya if you can unmute and tell me where do you use an e-way bill where do you use a delivery challan anybody else who can tell me what is a delivery challan or when do we use a delivery challan ईवे भी पता नहीं है वो तो हम अभी पढ़ेंगे बट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड ऑन अ डिलीवरी चलान so when do we generate a delivery challan for dispatch of goods, for sending goods to a job worker for movement. Only movement of goods take place. Yes. So various options. When goods are sent on approval basis, when goods are sent from one branch to another branch, which is not a sale transactions. Okay. When you're sending goods to a job worker, right? In all that situation, what do? We will raise a delivery challan. Now, delivery challan is a document to show that yes, the goods are moved. But for a delivery challan, it's a base document. But e-way bill is a different document because delivery challan, you will generate it at your own pace, but you're not informing the department instantly. For that movement of goods which is happening through a delivery challan, like we had said, example हमने बताया था कि job work charges. तो job work के लिए क्या करते हैं हम लोग goods job worker को बेचते हैं. करेक्ट. एक पूरा लॉरी भर के मैंने गुड्स मैंने जॉब वर्क को भेजा है, उसके लिए मैं इनवॉइस सेल नहीं कर रहा हूं तो सेल इनवॉइस रेज नहीं करूंगा, डिलीवरी चालान रेज करूंगा. सो आई हैव रेज्ड अ डिलीवरी चालान. नाउ टू इन्फॉर्म दिस टू द गवर्नमेंट आई हैव टू रेज अ ई-वे बिल ऑल्सो. So e-way bill, I will raise it on the GST portal called a separate e-way bill जो यहाँ पे मेंशन किया गया है e-way bill gst.gov.in. I will log in, have a separate login for that. GST portal अलग है और e-way bill का सिस्टम अलग है. e-way bill में मैं डिटेल्स मेंशन करूंगा. डिटेल्स मेंशन करने के बाद क्या करूंगा उसमें व्हाट इज द डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर विच यू आर रेजिंग ई-वे बिल, दैट लास्ट में दैट क्वेश्चन, उसमें मैं वो डिलीवरी चलान का नंबर डालूंगा and then generate, tell the source, tell the destination, who's the consigner, who's the consignee, value of the goods, and then once I click submit, it will get acknowledged, and that acknowledgement number will be a e-way bill number that I'll mention on the delivery challan and then transport the goods. ठीक है. Understood now? Difference between delivery challan is the base document, e-way bill is the document to track the movement. So in the example you gave regarding supply of sweet boxes, delivery challan should not be raised. Correct. Because it is supply of goods, not only movement. So the sweet box person has to raise invoice. So he has raised an invoice, but still the sweets are getting stopped there. Right? He has raised the correct document, that is invoice. If it is not a supply, then they will raise a delivery challan. So e-way bill is just a document, and e-way bill is a compliance mechanism whereby by way of digital interference or by way of digital interface, the person who is causing the movement of goods. Okay. So e-way bill is for both inter and interstate transportation. Yes. Good question. For both interstate and intrastate transportation, e-way bill is there. Yes. Delivery challan is just for movement, whether it's a supply or not. E-way bill is specifically for supply. No. You're getting confused. Delivery challan is for non-supply, because if it is a supply, you will raise the invoice. If it is a non-supply, okay, you will raise a delivery challan. But e-way bill is for movement of the goods, not for supply. For supply, you have invoice or delivery challan. But for once that invoice or delivery challan is raised, now you have to move the goods. For that movement, e-way bill is there. Yeah, e-way bill is only in case of sale. No, what exactly I'm saying, Sadhanush, that our example was that whether it is a movement or whether it is sale or not sale, if the transaction involves movement, then you will raise a e-way bill. Okay, जहां पर आपका मूवमेंट होता है वहां पे आप ई-वे बिल रेज करोगे. E-way bill, when we understand the meaning, e-way bill is a compliance mechanism by way of digital interface. The person causing the movement of goods uploads the relevant information. मतलब कुछ upload attachment नहीं करना है, सिर्फ details upload करना है. You will upload the relevant information prior to commencement of movement of goods and generate e-way bill on the GST portal. In other words, e-way bill is an electronic document which is generated on the common portal evidencing movement of. So it only evidences the movement of the goods. So e-way bill, if to move it on road, we raise it, and challan as order received sort. Correct. If we have any movement of goods on the road, we will raise it. That's all. क्योंकि आपको ई-वे बिल रेज करने पे कुछ टैक्सेस पे करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको सिर्फ ई-वे बिल रेज करना है. डिलीवरी चलान का एक एग्जांपल, a principal is wanting his goods to be given to a job worker, और जॉब वर्कर को क्या वो अप्लाई कर रहा है? ही इज नॉट डूइंग अ सप्लाई. करेक्ट. ही इज ओनली ट्रांसपोर्टिंग द गुड्स टू द जॉब वर्कर, ताकि जॉब वर्कर जो है उस गुड्स के ऊपर जॉब वर्क काम करके रिटर्न करे. तो ये सप्लाई है, ये सप्लाई नहीं है, क्योंकि आपके गुड आप किसी को सेल नहीं कर रहे हो, सिर्फ जॉब वर्कर को काम करने के लिए दे रहे हो. तो देन दैट इज नॉट अ सप्लाई ट्रांजैक्शन. सो वहां पे इज अ डिलीवरी चला. So, e-waybill is a compliance mechanism where you are entering all the details on a digital interface before movement of goods, but after raising the invoice. E-waybill is an electronic document which is generated on the common portal, which is the common portal e-waybillgst.gov.in, evidencing movement of goods. So basically, if all the purpose of it is the movement of goods, you will raise a document that is called as e-waybill. What are the prerequisites? क्या होना चाहिए? e-waybill के पहले आपके हाथ में क्या होना चाहिए? That बस आप registered person हो. Okay? आप registered person हो तो ये काफी है. So you should be a registered person, and if the transporter should be registered. So सिर्फ दो रिक्वायरमेंट है कि आप रजिस्टर्ड होना चाहिए, जो आप सप्लाई कर रहे हो, जो मूवमेंट कर रहे हो, आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन होना अनिवार्य है, और जो ट्रांसपोर्टर है उसे रजिस्ट्रेशन करना जरूरी है. लेकिन ट्रांसपोर्टर बोलता है कि मैं तो रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि मेरे सप्लाई 20 लाख तक नहीं जाते हैं, तो मुझे रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं करना. सो दे जीएसटी लॉ बोलता है कि इफ द ट्रांसपोर्टर इज नॉट रजिस्टर्ड, then it is mandatory for him to get enrolled on e-waybill portal. ओके. मतलब अगर ट्रांसपोर्टर रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, ठीक है, बट जरूरी है उसे कि उसको जीएसटी में एनरोलमेंट होना चाहिए. ठीक है, उसे सिर्फ एनरोलमेंट होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि उसे रजिस्ट्रेशन कंपलसरी है, ऐसा नहीं. अगर उसका लिमिट कम है तो फिर वो रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लेगा, लेकिन उसे एनरोलमेंट तो लेना चाहिए. अगर रजिस्ट्रेशन पर्सन नहीं है तो वो ई-वे बिल रेस कर पाएगा क्या? नहीं. अगर रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन नहीं है तो वो ई-वे बिल नहीं रेस कर पाएगा. कॉम्पोजिशन डीलर ई-वे बिल रेस करना पड़ता है, हाँ उसे करना पड़ेगा. हम देखेंगे एक्सेप्शंस में कि उसे करना पड़ेगा या नहीं करना पड़ेगा. इज देयर एनी फीस फॉर मेकिंग ई-वे बिल? गुड क्वेश्चन. नो फीस. गवर्नमेंट को अभी फीस की फुर्सत नहीं है, क्योंकि उसे सब कंप्लाई करे ये जरूरी है. सो दे हैव नॉट चार्ज एनी फीस फॉर मेकिंग ई-वेबल्स. होपफुली आई डोंट एक्सपेक्ट दैट दे विल चार्ज एनी फीस फॉर ई-वेबल्स, बिकॉज वी आर ऑलरेडी being burdened to do something, and if you ask fees, definitely people will not do. So for now there is no fees. So enrollment and registration, what is the difference? Good. So enrollment is, registration means once you registered, you are a GST registered person, you can charge GST, collect GST, and give credit to the receiver. But and you can also collect GST. You are a registered person, you can collect GST, pay GST, and claim the credit. But if you are not a registered person, you are enrolling, which means you don't have to do any of these compliance of paying taxes on your sales, pay RCM, and you don't have to file any returns. Okay, you have to just get registered and give your details to the GST authorities. That's all. Your details will be taken and you will be getting the enrollment number. Okay. Yes, e-way bill is mandatory. What it is mandatory for, we'll come to it. So prerequisite is person should be registered and transporter should be registered. If it's not registered, he should just take a enrollment number. Next, what are the benefits of e-waybill? फिजिकल इंटरफेस नहीं है, तो जो भी इंटरफेस पहले होता था चेकपोस्ट में वो नहीं रहेगा, पूरे डॉक्यूमेंट्स क्या है डिजिटल में कन्वर्ट हो जाएंगे. इट विल फैसिलिटेट फास्टर मूवमेंट्स ताकि इन बिटवीन कुछ अड़चन नहीं हो, सो इट विल नॉट बी देयर. एनरोलमेंट में ईवेबल कैसे रेज कर सकते हैं? एनरोलमेंट रेज नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन उसका नंबर तो हम मेंशन कर सकते हैं कि हम इस ट्रांसपोर्टर के थ्रू गुड्स मूव कर रहे हैं. E-way plus bill of supply, composition dealer, yes, correct. Because they don't raise the invoice, they raise a bill of supply. So for a composition dealer, E-way and bill of supply is required. Physical interface, it will fast facilitate faster movement क्योंकि पोस्ट नहीं है तो फिर मूवमेंट फास्ट हो जाएगा. इट इम्प्रूव्स टर्नओवर और टर्न अराउंड लिमिट ऑफ होता पड़ता था कि एक दिन में वो एक ही वेट कर सके. आज ई-वे बिल के बाद उनको रुकने की जरूरत नहीं, तो फिर वो दो ट्रिप भी कर सकते हैं. सो द logistics industry is seeing that lot of things they can do it in a shorter span of time. What are the benefits? Enhances supply chain efficiency, faster movements, single e-way across the country, easy to generate online, reduces carbon footprint क्योंकि आपको पेपर प्रिंट की जरूरत नहीं है. ई-वे बिल ऑनलाइन रेज कीजिए, उस नंबर को आपके इनवॉइस पे डाल दीजिए, वो काफी है. इट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कंसाइनमेंट वैल्यू एक्सीडिंग 50,000 रुपीज. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ई-वे बिल कब रेज करना चाहिए? ई-वे बिल तब रेज करना चाहिए तब जब आपका वैल्यू मोर देन 50,000 रुपीज हो. सो दोज आर द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ ई-वे बिल. लेकिन इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंटर यहाँ पे है कि हर एक सप्लाई के लिए ई-वे बिल रेज करने की जरूरत नहीं है. यू हैव टू रेज अ ई-वे बिल इफ द वैल्यू एक्सीड्स हाउ मच? 50,000 रुपीज. सो 50,000 लिमिट का कट ऑफ दिया है और उसके बाद ही रेज करेंगे. अगर 50 के नीचे है, सपोज मैंने मिठाई वाले का टोटल जो है 20,000 रुपीज का कंसाइनमेंट है, क्या उसे ई-वे बिल रेज करना चाहिए? Let's suppose I want to send goods from one state to another for job working purpose. So do I need to generate e-way bill or delivery challan? You have to do both, Anubhav. Delivery challan will be the document and e-way bill will be a online reporting of that. So for the job working, what you're asking, you have to raise a delivery challan and e-way bill both. बल्क अपलोड टूल और एप्लीकेशन प्रोग्राम इंटरफेस क्या होता है कि जब आपको डिटेल्स डालने पड़ते हैं, आपके मूवमेंट बहुत ज्यादा है, ठीक है, तब आप एक एक डिटेल्स ऑनलाइन सिस्टम में एंटर नहीं कर सकते, तब ये बल्क अपलोड टूल आप यूज करें. एनरोलमेंट में भी ई-वे बिल रेस नहीं होता है, नहीं रेस होता है, बिकॉज सप्लायर या रिसीवर को ही ई-वे बिल रेस करना, ट्रांसपोर्टर को कभी कभार करना पड़ता है, तो इसीलिए उसे एनरोलमेंट नंबर दिया जाता है. No delivery challan should be issued. करेक्ट. सो इन आवर एग्जाम्पल वेयर इट इज जस्ट 20,000 रुपीज, तब ईवेबल की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि ईवेबल का लिमिट क्या है, 50,000 एंड अबव. करेक्ट. यू कैन से दैट चौहान की डिलीवरी चलान इज लाइक अ इनवॉइस. Okay, good question, sir. For different supply, we have very separate e-label. Yes. If you are having multiple supplies or to a same supplier, you are having multiple bills. For each invoice, you have to raise a e-label. Okay. Can't club all the invoices or can't club the आपके 10 कस्टमर हैं, सभी 10 कस्टमर के 10 सेपरेट इनवॉइसेस है तो मैं उसे क्लब करूंगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा. आपको अलग अलग इनवॉइस के लिए एक इनवॉइस एक डिलीवरी चला. ओके. 10 इनवॉइस 10 डिलीवरी चलान रेज करने पड़ेंगे. In case of interstate, this is mandatory irrespective of value of goods. No. Even in case of interstate, it says 50,000. If a value is more than 50,000, only then you have to raise. So delivery challan should be issued in case e-waybill is not issued. Yes, when the movement is not there, right? And you're delivering something. So base document, you will raise delivery challan. If there is a movement and the value exceeds 50,000, you will raise a e-waybill. But if your value is less than 50,000, you will still raise a delivery challan because for delivery challan and invoice, there is no limit. करेक्ट. सपोज मैं आपको एक 50 रुपए का सेल करता हूँ, मैं बोलता हूँ बहुत कम है, इनवॉइस नहीं रेस करूंगा, दैट्स नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल, राइट. सो जैसे वैसे ही फॉर एवरी काइंड ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन यू विल रेज अ इनवॉइस और डिलीवरी चलान मूवमेंट if it is happening and if the value is more than 50,000 then you'll raise a e-label. For each or of each exceeds 50,000. For each if it exceeds 50,000 rupees. From branch transfer or goods removed from warehouse. Yes, for both the for branch transfer or when the goods are removed for warehouse, in both the situation, you will raise a delivery challan. So for interstate branch transfer, which involves interstate transfer exceeding 50,000, should we raise e-label? Yes, you should. For example, we order furniture less than 50,000, then only invoice, and in case more than 50,000, then invoice and e-label both are required. Questions. Let's proceed. I will take your questions after some time. So what are the benefits? We saw this. E-waybill when it is required. This is very important. I think most of your questions will get solved here. Whenever the movement of goods of a consignment value exceeding 50,000 rupees, then you will raise a e-waybill. Okay. Where the consignment value is more than 50,000 rupees, firstly. Of what? In relation to a supply, in relation for reasons other than supply, or due to inward supply from an unregistered person. So in three instances, e-way bill has to be raised when the value is, firstly, when the consignment value exceeds 50,000 rupees in relation to a supply. Jab movement of goods is for a sale. Supply includes all forms of supply, right? Sale, barter, transfer, exchange, etc. But there is a supply, then definitely for reasons other than supply, but there is a movement of goods. We have examples for this: job working, branch transfer, right? And I'll give you another third example. Now you tell me whether it is required or no. I have a big machinery. Okay, now I want your participation here. I have a machinery. Now machinery क्या है भाड़े पे बेच. The value of the machinery is 50 lakh rupees. The rent is only 30,000 rupees. Okay, the value of the machinery is 50 lakh rupees. The rent is only 30,000 rupees. Should I raise a e-way bill or no? I have the machinery with me. Now, the distance is at least 50 kilometers, and the person is wanting me to give it on the rental basis. So I have to move the machinery. Now, जब मैं machinery move करूंगा, what document should I raise? And should I raise a e-way bill? If I'm sending my furniture from house to office, house registered नहीं है तो नहीं चाहिए. But from this, you tell me whether it is required or no. In case of interstate supply, 50,000 criteria are not applicable. Still applicable. For branch transfer, interstate exceeds 50,000. Then only e-way bill. Yes. Is there any validity for enrollment number? Yes. If less than 50,000, then we need to regenerate. No, then you don't have to. So Tej Chauhan is saying yes. Venmuri Jandi is saying you have to raise a delivery challan only. So for branch transfer, stock transfer, which involves interstate transfer, not exceeding 50,000, should we raise e-way bill? You should not. Sir, invoice e-way bill, although value of supply is 30,000, as machinery is worth more than 50,000. Okay. Yes, e-way bill invoice, not plus invoice required. For movement of goods, delivery challan is required. Sir, e-way bill रेज होने के बाद हार्ड कॉपी ड्राइवर के पास रहता है क्या? नहीं, नहीं रह भी सकता है. अगर आप उसे देंगे तो हार्ड कॉपी रखेगा, बट इनवॉइस को कॉपी तो रखेगा. और इनवॉइस में आप ई-वे बिल मेंशन कर देंगे तो भी काफी है. आपको पूरे का पूरा ई-वे बिल प्रिंट देने की जरूरत नहीं. ठीक है, समझ गए आप कि आपको ई-वे बिल देने की जरूरत है. इनवॉइस का कॉपी उसको देना पड़ेगा क्योंकि मूवमेंट कर रहा है, तो इनवॉइस को कॉपी तो देना पड़ेगा. और ई-वे बिल आप उसमें ई-वे बिल नंबर मेंशन करेंगे तो भी काफी है. Yes, as the value of the goods is more than 50,000. Correct. तो जब मैं मूवमेंट कर रहा हूँ मशीनरी का, what is the value of that machinery that has to cost 50,000 rupees, not the value of supply, because this is movement of goods and the goods value should be more than 50,000. In my example, the value of the goods was 50 lakh rupees, which is more than 50,000 rupees. So 50 lakhs का machinery है, तो I will not raise an invoice for this क्योंकि वो तो मैं मंथली रेंट चार्ज करूंगा एट द एंड ऑफ द मंथ. सो आई विल रेज अ डेलीवरी चला दैट द मशीनरी इज बीइंग डिलीवर्ड फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ रेंट. सो आई विल रेज अ डिलीवरी चलान एंड अ ई-वे बिल. लेकिन इनवॉइस आई विल नॉट रेज, सो आई हैव टू रेज अ डिलीवरी चलान एंड अ ई-वे बिल. क्लियर? In case only delivery challan and e-way bill. Honestly, differed between delivery challenge and e-way bill. Why are we raising delivery challenge in this case? Because it is not a supply. What is my value of supply, Priya? Should I raise an invoice for 50 lakhs? because the person is not taking the goods. If he's buying the goods, he's buying the machinery from me, then I will raise the invoice. But in this case, he's not buying the goods, he's taking the goods on rental basis. What is the value of the goods? What I'm telling him? For me, the value is 50 lakhs only. But for him, it is not 50 lakhs because he's not taking the whole machinery or not buying the whole machinery. He's only taking it on rent. So that's why I will not raise the invoice because the time of supply for raising of invoice also has to get triggered. So today it is not triggered. At the end of the month it will trigger. That time I will raise the invoice. But now for every movement I should raise a delivery challan. Yes, I've raised a delivery challan. Now is it a sale? No, it is not a sale. So it's a delivery challan. Now delivery challan is only a document. How do I inform to the department? Because e-waybill says that any movement of goods you have to inform me. So मैं उसे inform कैसे करूंगा? Through the delivery challan, which is a document, I will upload the details on the e-waybill portal, and the e-waybill portal will acknowledge and give me an acknowledgement number. Now, did you get it? The difference between e-waybill and delivery challan? So in your example, we need to issue both e-waybill and delivery challan. Yes, you're right. Okay. And third category is when you have inward supply from an unregistered person. Who can raise a e-waybill? Only a registered person. So in first two cases, it will be a registered person. In third case, the person who is supplying is unregistered, but the person who's receiving is registered. तो अगर सप्लायर अनरजिस्टर्ड है लेकिन रिसीवर रजिस्टर्ड है, उसे पता है कि वो अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन से ले रहा है, तब उसे ई-वे बिल रेज करना पड़ेगा. The registered person who causes such movements shall furnish the information relating to said goods as specified in Part A of Form GST EVB before commencement of such movement. So before movement of the goods, if the supplier is registered, he will generate it. And if the recipient is registered and the supplier is not registered, then the recipient will register it. And if both supplier and recipient both are registered, then the supplier can raise it. If the supplier says, no, my system is down outside, then the receiver can raise it. Any one of them can raise it. In my example, what will be the consignment value? The consignment value will be the value of machinery itself, which is 50 lakhs only. That will be the consignment value, which I will raise in the mention in the e-waybill portal. Yeah, sure, Tej Prakash. I will upload the PPT of the previous chapters. In third case, the recipient will issue the e-waybill. Yes, in third case, the recipient will issue the e-waybill. If both are unregistered, nobody will raise the e-waybill because supplier has to raise it. Now, supplier is unregistered, then the recipient will raise it. If supplier and recipient both are unregistered, then e-waybill is not required at all. If information to be furnished prior to commencement of movement of goods, invoice के बाद लेकिन movement के पहले, you have to raise the invoice, and before movement you have to raise the e-waybill. E-waybill has to be raised whether the movement is in relation to supply or movement other than supply. Who causes the movement of goods? If the supplier is registered and undertakes to transport the goods, then movement is caused by the supplier, because they said that who causes the movement of the goods, he shall raise a e-waybill. Correct? The registered person who causes such movement has to raise a e-waybill. Now, how do you understand this clause, the registered person who causes movement? By this analysis, if the supplier is registered and he undertakes to transport the goods, then the movement is caused by the supplier. Supplier has to raise a e-waybill. Second, if the recipient undertakes to transport or he arranges the transport, then the movement who maybe would be caused by the recipient. क्योंकि रिसिपिएंट इज सेइंग दैट मैं आपके गुड्स से खरीदूंगा, आपको खरीदना है प्लास्टिक के ग्रैन्यूल्स, आप जा रहे हैं रिलायंस के पास, क्या उसे आपकी परवाह है कि आप कहाँ से खरीद रहे हो? उसको सिर्फ बेचना है, और अगर आप नहीं खरीदोगे कोई और खरीद लेगा. सो इफ यू डोंट बाय फ्रॉम रिलायंस, somebody else will buy, right? Then you have to arrange the transportation by yourself. So in such case, the supplier is not bothered about the transportation. The recipient agrees that he will undertake transport or arrange the transportation. Then in that case, I will raise the e-way. In case the goods are supplied by an unregistered supplier to a recipient who is registered, right? In that case, the movement shall be said to be caused by such recipient if the recipient is known at the time of commencement of the movement of goods. Cleared it? Now we are breaking the e-way bill into smallest parts ताकि आपको every detail you can understand. Movement of goods exceeding 50,000 plus supply, e-way bill. No supply plus movement of goods not exceeding 50,000, delivery challan. Perfect. No, there's a little, I'll just copy this. I will phrase it here so you can understand this. So one of our friends, Anubhav, has tried to make a formula for the e-way bill. Very nicely is made. Oops, not able to copy here. To copy. Okay. But I'll write it out so that it becomes easy for everybody. Movement of goods exceeding 50,000 plus supply is equal to e-way bill. Movement of goods not exceeding 50,000 plus supply, no e-way bill. Then movement of goods exceeding 50,000 plus no supply. If there is no supply, but there is movement of goods there, delivery challan plus e-way bill. Yeah, here is the chart, Anubhav. You can refer this. So if supplier and recipient both are unregistered, but the transporter is registered, the transporter shall issue an e-way bill. Correct. Delivery challan will contain tax on rent? No. In that example of machinery, delivery challan will contain the value of the machinery. It will not contain the rental. For rental, the time of supply has not occurred. You will charge rent at the end of the month, right? So delivery challan will not contain the rent. Delivery challan will contain the value of the machinery. If gift and sample need to raise e-way bill, yes. Wherever there is movement of goods, whether gift, whether it is sample, still you have to raise a e-way bill. Correct. So anything, all of this, Kavita, good question. That generally there is no tax under income tax. So should I raise? Yes. Still, You have to raise it because it is all falling under the category of any transaction other than supply. First may e-waybill and invoice. Correct. You're right. E-waybill plus invoice. Right. Okay. Other way to understand this is, say there is a registered seller and supply is made by a registered seller to a registered buyer. Registered seller is selling to a registered buyer. Either party may generate the e-way bill. Okay, who can generate it? Either of them can generate it. Generally supplier raise करता है, लेकिन अगर supplier raise करता है और receiver करता है, तो receiver also can raise a e-way bill. Sending machine for rent does not come under supply. No, because the supply is a supply of rent. The rent is a supply. The sending the machinery for rent is not a supply. Yes, we are sending it for rental. जब rental होगा, then it will be a supply. Before that, there is no supply. In second case, delivery challan not issued. Second case, no go. Second case is where the goods are not exceeding 50,000. Okay, not exceeding 50,000, e-bill not required, but delivery challan is required. You're right. No supply means service, not necessary. It can be a transaction which is not supply, but it is other than supply. If recipient is registered and supply is unregistered, we'll come to that also. So first thing you understood. Second is where the supply is registered and the buyer is unregistered. Or if it's a foreign buyer, then supply is made by a registered person to an unregistered buyer. So e-way bill will be raised by the supplier itself, the registered seller to raise a e-way bill. In the third instance, when the unregistered seller is unregistered, but the recipient is registered, then supply is made by the unregistered seller, registered buyer. Movement is said to be caused. This is very important. Movement is said to be caused by the registered recipient, and e-way bill is generated by the registered recipient. Clear? अभी चार्ट में आई थिंक दिस चार्ट गिव्स आंसर टू मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. Sir said the supplier should be registered. Then how, when the supplier and recipient both are unregistered, transporter can issue e-way bill? So transporter will raise a bill saying that supplier is unregistered, recipient is unregistered, and the transporter can raise the e-way bill. Consideration must exist? Not necessary. Consideration need not exist. How to identify movement is caused by register's recipient? When the recipient, because he is the person who is getting the goods, right? So when he is getting it, then he will tell the supplier that yes, I am registered. I know you are unregistered, because the receiver will not receive it randomly, right? We will receive it on the his instruction only. Then the supplier will send it. ठीक है. तो यहाँ तक हमको समझ में आ गया कि सप्लायर रजिस्टर्ड हो तो जनरली सप्लायर रेज करता है, और अगर सप्लायर रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है तो फिर रिसीवर रेज करता है, और अगर दोनों रजिस्टर्ड है तो एनी ऑफ देम कैन रेज अ ई-वे बिल. Next is, what is the value? We have said 50,000 is the value. Now for this purpose, the normal value what we consider, that you should not consider. Yeah, on the transporter raise e-way bill when both unregistered supplier and recipient. जब सप्लायर और रिसिपिएंट दोनों अनरजिस्टर्ड हैं, तो फिर ट्रांसपोर्टर अपने ट्रांजिट से, क्योंकि ट्रांसपोर्टर को तो एनरोलमेंट नंबर दिया जाता है, तो फिर ट्रांसपोर्टर जो है ई-वे बिल रेज करेगा. क्या करेक्ट? इन दिस चार्ट इट मींस दैट whoever is registered, he ट्रांसपोर्टर रजिस्टर्ड हो सकता है. अगर ट्रांसपोर्टर रजिस्टर्ड भी नहीं है तो फिर एनरोलमेंट नंबर तो उसे रहेगा ही, तो वो एनरोलमेंट नंबर के बेसिस पे ई-वे बिल रेज कर सकता है. नाउ व्हाट इज द कंसाइनमेंट वैल्यू? कि हमने कहा 50,000 के ऊपर, तो उसमें क्या क्या इंक्लूड हो? वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स, जो हमारे वैल्यूएशन हमने पढ़ा था वो वैल्यू रहेगा. सेकेंड, व्हाट इज द वैल्यू विच इज डिक्लेयर्ड इन द इनवॉइस, द बिल ऑफ सप्लाई और डिलीवरी चालान which is issued in respect of that consignment. जो वैल्यू आप इनवॉइस में रेज करोगे वो वैल्यू रखना पड़ेगा. एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड इट इंक्लूड्स द सेंट्रल टैक्स, स्टेट टैक्स और यूनियन टेरिटरी टैक्स, उसे भी आपको ऐड करना होगा. जैसे मेरा गुड्स का वैल्यू है 49,000 रुपीज, ओके, और जीएसटी ऐड करूंगा मैं 49,000 इंटू 18%, मेक्स इट 8820. अब मेरा वैल्यू हो गया 57,280. बिफोर जीएसटी 49,000, लेकिन टैक्सेस ऐड करने के बाद इट इज 57,820. सो शुड आई रेज ई-वे बिल और नो? मैडम, I said for an enrollment number there is no returns, no compliance. लेकिन एनरोलमेंट नंबर उसे इसलिए दिया जाता है कि सप्लायर रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, तब तो इस कर ले भैया. Right. So in my example, very clear that yes, 49,000 वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स है, लेकिन जीएसटी ऐड करने के बाद जब वो वैल्यू 50,000 को क्रॉस हो जाता है तब ईवेबल रेज करना है। तो ईवेबल इज नॉट ऑन द ग्रॉस वैल्यू, इट इज ऑन द टैक्स वैल्यू। तो इसलिए यहाँ पे वी हैव मेंशन नो वैल्यू इंक्लूड्स वैल्यू डिटरमाइंड इन सेक्शन 15 व्हाट इज डिक्लेयर्ड एंड इट इंक्लूड्स द टैक्सेस। It excludes the value of exempt supply of goods where invoice is issued in respect of both. अगर एक consolidated invoice रेज किया for taxable goods and exempted goods तो फिर exempt goods को आप हटा देंगे। Clear Priya now? जो भी exempt supply है उसका आप दोनों में से निकालेंगे। Whatever is exempt supply that should not be included. Payable limit where value exceeds less than 50,000. So in some cases, even if the value is less than 50,000, we have to raise the e-waybill. What are the things, cases where the e-waybill is required to be generated even if the value is less than 50,000? When there is an interstate transfer of goods by the principal to a job worker. ठीक है, हमने क्या कहा कि जब सप्लायर और रिसीवर दो लोग होते हैं, सप्लायर इज registered, receiver is unregistered, and the value is more than 50,000 rupees. In case of job work में कुछ छोटी चीज देता हूँ 40,000 रुपए के लिए, तो मैं एक इनवॉइस रेज नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि the value is 50,000. But if the same 40,000 worth of goods is given to a job worker who is outside the state, तो जब वो इंटरस्टेट मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स हो गया तब क्या होगा, तब मुझे इनवॉइस ट्रेस ई-वे ट्रेस करना पड़ेगा। Interstate transfer of handicraft goods, and in other cases, a registered person or the transporter may generate the e-label. Okay, so basically two cases: in case of interstate transfer by the principal to a job worker, and in case of interstate transfer of handicraft goods by a person who is exempted from obtaining registration। वो registration तो नहीं लेगा लेकिन e-label raise करेगा, उसके लिए handicraft registered person को भी एक अलग नंबर मिलेगा। ठीक है, so only in these two cases, even if the value is less than 50,000 rupees, still you will raise a e-label. Okay, and in the third case, the registered person or transporter may at his option generate the e-label. ठीक है, so with the heavy load, our sweet box is not yet come, but let us go and find out at least should we raise a e-label or should we not. We will get to know in further detail, but by now you would have got clarity, right? Handicrafts enrollment or temporary registration. Handicrafts, he will have a temporary registration, not temporary registration, he will have a separate number. Any person who is dealing handicraft goods, they will have to get a letter from the GST officer, right? That we had discussed earlier. That same thing, that enrollment he has to do. Our sweet box is not yet come. So let us wait for some more time, take a break, and then confirm to the officer if e-label is to be raised or Okay. So there are some questions. Means if the less than 50,000 goods के लिए भी will generate कर सकते हैं. Correct. So even if the value is 50,000, you can generate it voluntarily. E-way bill is a document prepared to make the department aware of the movement of goods on the basis of delivery challan or invoice, whichever is applicable. Correct. And third point is E-way is a document. Yes, it is so because delivery challenge is not known to the department at the time of movement of goods, but whereas department needs to know about the movement prior to commencement of the movement of goods, and therefore you issue a E-way bill. You're right, absolutely right. And third point, okay, now it should be fine because now I think the internet should be fine. Thanks for updating, Anubhav. And when the value is less than 50,000, E-way bill is required in case of interstate transfer between principal to job worker. Correct. If that goods are sent through an agent, still. So principal or any person on behalf of principal sent by a principal to the job worker, it has to be E-way bill has to be raised. If I order goods worth less than 50,000 rupees from Amazon to my relative in Rajasthan, then what is required? Invoice. So Amazon does not have a kind of bill to ship to model. Yeah, it has a bill to ship to model. So it will ship to your relative in Rajasthan, bill it in your name. So they will raise a e-way bill. Exactly. That is our next slide on what happens in case of a bill to ship to transaction. Okay. So what happens exactly in case of what Miss Priya has told that customer B is in Gurgaon. Okay. And supplier is in Tamil Nadu. The customer is in Gurgaon. Supplier is in Tamil Nadu. And you have told the supplier to ship it to my relative in Gujarat. Okay. So for this, there are two transactions, but movement is happening where? Only from the supplier to the customer ultimately. So there is only one movement. So only one e-way bill is sufficient. In case of bill to ship to transaction, there will be two invoices, correct? Because the customer supplier will raise it to the first customer and first customer will raise it to the second customer. So there are two invoices, but movement is happening from the supplier to the customer. One e-way bill will be sufficient and it can be generated either by the supplier or customer B. Okay, clear with bill to ship to transaction, madam. Hope your exact question is I could sense it, except that you're sending to a relative in Rajasthan. I thought she was in Gujarat. So apart from these three cases, only if value exceeds 50,000, e-way bill has to be raised. Perfect, correct. Oh, again, internet is unstable. Same here, जैसे हमारा पुराना स्लाइड था, bill to and ship to, and wherever the delivery is happening. So option one, yeah, in case of bill to ship to, either Ganesh traders can raise an invoice or Maruti traders can raise an invoice. Okay, same in case of Interstate also. The supplier himself can raise a e-way bill or the person who is owning it, he can raise a e-way bill. Two options are there, but only one e-way bill is sufficient. What are the details we have to mention in the e-way bill? Very simple. What all we will furnish is simple. It is divided into part A and part B. Okay, part A अलग है, part B अलग है. Part A में GST of the supplier, place of dispatch, GST of the recipient, place of delivery, document number. यहाँ पे document number अगर आप invoice raise करेंगे तो invoice number, अगर delivery चालान raise करेंगे तो delivery चालान number, debit note raise करेंगे तो debit note number. So what is the document we are generating? Based on that, we need to mention the document number. So that was the reason I was saying first raise the invoice or delivery चालान, देन पुट इन, क्योंकि आपको ई वेबल रेज करना है तो फिर यू हैव टू मेंशन द डॉक्यूमेंट. Okay, so you have to mention the document number, document date, what is the value of goods. So in case of our machinery, the value of the machinery, क्योंकि what we are transporting, what we are moving, that value has to be mentioned, not value of the supply. So they have not asked you for the value of supply, they've asked you for the value of the good. Mention the value of the goods, mention the HSN code, and the reason for transportation. If it is sale, you will mention sale. If it is a delivery charge, you'll mention for job worker, or if it is for a rental, then you'll mention for rental purposes. So I mentioned that reason. Still, part A, the supplier mentioned this part A should be furnished by the registered person who is causing movement of the goods for a value exceeding 50,000 rupees. And part B is the vehicle number and the document reference number or the vehicle number. So that is the transport document number, defense vehicle number, temporary vehicle registration number, or any kind of Nepal or Bhutan vehicle registration number. So this is basically, this information is to be filled by the transporter. But most of the time, practically what happens is the transporter says that, no, I cannot enter it. I don't have any people to do it. So in that case, the person who is filling part A himself will ask the details from the transporter and fill it in part B. Okay. Because if you don't fill part B, then it doesn't get generated. Okay, that is the reason it has to be. It has to, because ultimately, even if the transporter doesn't raise, the supplier's responsibility it is to raise the e-way bill. So he will have to do it. Supplier and transporter both not fill, then who is liable? Then the transporter, because transporter's liability will come in, the transporter fill कर. ठीक है. Information to be furnished in the e-way, information in part A may be furnished by the transporter on an authorization received from a registered person. So generally part A is by the supplier, but जैसे हमने कहा है कि supplier and register दोनों ने fill नहीं किया है, goods उसको दे दिया है. So he will have to fill it and he will have to take an authorization from the supplier and fill the details in part A. By the e-commerce operator or courier agency where the goods are to be transported और सप्लाइड थ्रू एन ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर. तो ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बढ़ जाता है, जैसे अमेजोन और फ्लिपकार्ट में है. सप्लायर के अमेजोन के फ्लिपकार्ट के गोडाउन में आप गुड्स रखते हो और वहां पे सप्लायर फिजिकली अवेलेबल नहीं रहता है, then it is the e-commerce person's operator, e-commerce operator's responsibility to fill the e-waybill details. Once the goods are ready and the transporter details are loaded, the user, जैसे हमने कहा कि सप्लायर अगर उसको ट्रांसपोर्टर का डिटेल्स पता है, then he himself can enter the details in part B. And part A जनरेट करने के बाद आपका ई वेबल जनरेट नहीं होगा, पार्ट ए और पार्ट बी दोनों फिल करने के बाद ही आपका ई वेबल जनरेट होगा. Now, e-waybill, who is mandatory, as we had said, registered person, supplier or recipient. When it is handed over to a transporter, now always it is not necessary that you will give it to a transporter. You will have your own vehicles sometimes. So if you are using your own vehicles, then you will only fill the part A and part B. If you're giving to a transporter, then he is required to fill, or in that case, you can also fill it. And when goods is being transported by air, vessel, or train, then the registered person, either the supplier or recipient, because when you import something, when you import from a foreign country, you will involve a air or a vessel. Then the supplier is not registered because he's not in India. So in that case, you are the recipient, you will have to fill it. We issue email in case value less than 50,000. Then we have to fill part A. No, if you issue e-waybill, if the value is less than 50,000, if your volume e-waybill is not required, Ms. Devu Mitra, but still, if you are generating a e-waybill, you have to fill it fully. It can't be that you just fill part A. Even if the value is less than 50,000, you have to fill up completely and then get the e-waybill. You have to fill both the parts. Yeah, endowment number is not in any part, but the transporter is required to have it. Yes. Another thing, when Part B is not mandatory, some cases we said Part A available itself is not mandatory, but in some cases Part B not mandatory when e-waybill is not to be furnished when the goods are transported for up to 50 kilometers. That is not when supplies and recipients place. It is from the place of business of the consumer to the place of business of the transporter, because you have not received the vehicle number, you have to give it to a transporter. Now, by the time you go, okay, and in between, there's some officer finds out saying that you have not raised the e-label. Then you can always tell that I am not transporting the goods. I'm only going to the transporter. Once I reach to the transporter, only then he will give me the vehicle number. Then only I can raise the e-label. But the distance between your place and transportation cannot be more than 50 kilometers. Similarly, from the place of business of the transporter finally to the place of the consignee, because the destination is reached, but it's the transporter's place which you have mentioned. Now, from the transporter's place to the consignee, there also e-label will not be required. That is, part B will not be required. Be very careful. This is only on the part B, not on the exemption completely from the e-label. Transporter of goods. Yeah, this I will explain. Suppose on the way that vehicle was coming and it's got punctured and it took, अपना गाड़ी का पंचर तो हम आराम से कर सकते हैं, लेकिन लॉरी का पंचर आप आराम से नहीं कर सकते. जैसे हम ऐसे खोल के कर देते हैं ना, वैसे यू कैन डू इट फॉर अ लॉरी. यू नीड टू हैव अ lot of time to get the tire removed and repaired and fitted it. So what happens in case of such breakage? You can move the goods from one transport vehicle to another transport vehicle by changing in the e-way bill the new vehicle number. तो एक नया vehicle वहां पे आएगा and will move the goods from the old vehicle to the new vehicle. Before that happens, you have to update the e-way bill. E-way bill में नया vehicle का number आना चाहिए. जब नया vehicle का number आ जाएगा, then that e-way bill will be valid. Up to 50 kilometers only for transport, not for supply and receipt. Correct. Who will update? Yes, that's a good question. In such cases, the consigner or the recipient or the transporter can update the vehicle number. Okay, but it has to be updated within the validity period. Now you assign it to another transporter for updating part B. Then who can update it? The transporter or the assigner. But details of conveyance are updated by the transporter himself. मतलब पार्ट भी ट्रांसपोर्टर ने डाला है और उसने किसी और दूसरे असाइनर को दूसरे ट्रांसपोर्टर को असाइन किया है. Then the consigner recipient should not be lost. I have not updated the details in part B. If I update the details in part B, then I can change the transporter number. But if I have not mentioned the part B details, the part B details are mentioned by the transporter, then he assign it to another transporter and he will update it. When and who should the EV notice? Sellers or buyers, and for transporters, this is the procedure. Now, consolidate e-way bill. Can you consolidate multiple e-way bills and generate one? There is an option of consolidate e-way bill, which says that consolidated e-way bill in part GST EWB 2, where multiple consignments are intended to be transported in one conveyance. Then, in such cases, consolidated e-way bill allows the transporter to carry a single document. So from a supplier's perspective, you cannot consolidate and raise one e-way bill. That is not possible. You have to have multiple e-way bill itself. As I said, one invoice, one e-way bill. 10 invoice, 10 e-way bill. Always remember that you cannot consolidate from the supplier's perspective. But for a transporter, he can consolidate all of these 10 e-way bills, EW1, and कंसोलिडेट वन डॉक्यूमेंट, ताकि उसको 10 ई-वे बिल लेकर जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. ही कैन कंसोलिडेट दीज ई-वे बिल्स एंड जनरेट वन. दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ कंसोलिडेटेड ई-वे बिल. Clear with this? So not consolidate, but consolidate only for carry. Correct. Consolidation only for carry. So the consignment is from different consigners. Still can issue consolidate or one consolidated? No. The consolidation will not work where it is consolidated where multiple consignments are inserted and need to be transported in one conveyance. If they are a transporter, will get 100 e-labels. Now, if he's doing separate consignment on separate conveyance, then we cannot consolidate. If it is all coming in one conveyance, lorry logo, then he can consolidate. Your question is the consignment is from different consignors. Still can issue consolidate or one consolidated. Yes, they will be suppliers. It can be consolidated for multiple suppliers. A user should have all the e-waybill numbers of the consignments which the transporter contains. If any consignment does not have e-waybill and value is exceeding 50,000, the transporter has to enter the e-waybill. This is what we are discussing. If the supplier or the recipient does not generate the label, then the transporter will generate it. Consolidate e-waybill does not, as we said, any validity period also because every e-waybill has one validity period. But consolidate does not have a separate validity period. What is the individual validity period still apply? Because people should not feel that okay, my e-waybill validity is getting expired, so I will give another goods and tell the transporter to consolidate it so that overall yield will increase. That is not the possibility. Whatever is the individual period that will apply consolidation for conveyance for the convenience of the transporter. Yes, consolidation for अलग-अलग iron vehicle, Paul Chauhan अलग-अलग supplier के correct हो सकता है. What is the validity period? Correct, Miss P. वही next जा रहे हैं हम. Yeah. Validity period. If it is an over-dimensional cargo and multi-mode shipment having one leg in the ship, okay? जैसे मैं बताता हूँ पहले पहले नॉर्मल देख लेते हैं अदर देन मल्टी मॉडल शिपमेंट एंड ओवर डायमेंशनल कार्गो नॉर्मल जब आप रोड से ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हो देन इट इज 200 किलोमीटर तक एक दिन का वैलिडिटी है इफ यू हेलो या इफ यू रेज ई-वे बिल टुडे देन if you raise the e-way bill today, then you have a validity of 1 day for 200 kilometers. And for every 200 extra kilometers, suppose 500 kilometers is there, the place from the supplier to the receiver. Okay, from the consignor to consignee, the transportation kilometers is 500 kilometers. Then it will be valid for how many days? 3 days. परफेक्ट. बिकॉज 1 डे, निधि 1 डे कैसे होगा? एक दिन में तो 200 किलोमीटर है, और 500 किलोमीटर होगा तो कितने दिन? 200 plus 200 plus 100. Correct. So the validity will be for 3 days. But in case there is a cargo or a courier of over-dimensional cargo and multimodal shipment. Okay. What does that mean? That over-dimensional cargo means it is excess sized. The normal capacity of the vehicle जितना है उससे ज्यादा आप ले रहे हो, which exceeds the dimensional limits which is prescribed by the central motor vehicle rules. If you're using ओवरनेशनल कार्गो, तब वो इतना मूवमेंट नहीं करता पड़ता है जितना आप रेगुलर लॉरी का करते हो. एंड इट इन्वॉल्व्स मल्टी मॉडल शिपमेंट एंड वन लेग इन द शिप, कि आप ट्रांसपोर्ट रोड से भी करोगे और शिप से भी करोगे, और लॉरी और या फिर ट्रेन से भी करोगे, शिप से भी करोगे. एक मूवमेंट जो है आपका शिप से होना चाहिए. देन द डिस्टेंस विद इन द कंट्री इफ इट इज अप टू 20 किलोमीटर 1 डे. सो ओवर डायमेंशनल एंड मल्टीमोडल शिपमेंट के लिए वैलिडिटी विल बी 1 डे, एंड फॉर एवरी 20 किलोमीटर 1 डे विल बी एडेड. तो इफ इट इज से 100 किलोमीटर तो आपको 5 दिन मिलेगा. ओनली व्हेन इफ इट इज अ मल्टी मॉडल ओवर डायमेंशनल कार्गो है, बहुत बड़ा कार्गो है, या फिर एक मल्टी मॉडल शिपमेंट कर रहे हो आप जिसमें शिप का भी इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, देन इट इज 20 किलोमीटर. अदरवाइज इफ द नॉर्मल इज 200 किलोमीटर 1 डे. ठीक है. नाउ टू कैलकुलेट दिस, व्हाट विल वी डू इज we will relevant date means the date on which the e-waybill has to be generated, and the period of validity shall be counted from the time at which e-waybill has been generated, and each day shall be counted at the period expiring on the midnight of the day. तो रात से आपको कंसिडर करना पड़ेगा उस चीज को. Now we'll take some example here to understand this. Time of generation. E-waybill generated on say 1st of April 2018 at 5 p.m. for transportation of a cargo which will cover a distance of 90 kilometers. So what will be the validity period for this? This class only today over. Yes, e-waybill छोटा चैप्टर आज खत्म हो जाएगा. Is it over-dimensional in this example? No, this is not over-dimensional. Valid till 6th April. So you are saying 5th April, valid till 2nd April. Oh my God, so much of variance. Only 1st April, 2nd April, midnight of 2nd April. Oh my God. Okay, so a lot of confusion here. The correct date is when you have generated the e-way bill on the 1st of April. Okay, then the e-way bill will be valid. E-way bill will be valid for 1 day, which is from the date which you have generated, from that day midnight till the next day. So if you have generated at 5 p.m., you don't have to consider 1st April at all. You have to consider the validity from the midnight of that invoice. So it is saying for the period expiring at midnight of the day, immediately following the day of generation of the e-way bill. From the midnight it starts, not from the time when you have generated. So that is how e-way bill timing works. It works from the midnight. So if you have generated on 1st April at 5 p.m., you will get till the midnight of the 2nd April.
सर इसमें
6th
90
April
किलोमीटर वाला यूज नहीं होगा?
क्या
90 किलोमीटर जो है वो 1 डे में 20 किलोमीटर इन्वॉल्व होता था, तो उसे नहीं कैलकुलेट करेंगे?
वन डे में 20 किलोमीटर कहाँ पे लिखा है? 1 डे में 200 किलोमीटर है ना? जब 1 डे में 200 किलोमीटर है, ये 1 डे में 20 किलोमीटर तो ओवर डायमेंशनल कार्गो के लिए है।
ओके सर, ओके, सॉरी सर।
बड़ा कार्गो हमने कुछ नहीं कहा, तो उसका मतलब ये नहीं होगा कि बड़ा कार्गो ये नॉर्मल कार्गो है।
जी सर,
ठीक है,
ओके।
सेकेंड एग्जाम्पल, सेकेंड के लिए भी टिल मिडनाइट ऑफ 2nd April, करेक्ट, सेम। थर्ड के लिए मिडनाइट ऑफ 15th March, correct. First day would end at 12 p.m., which is midnight of 15th March. Second day will end on 12 midnight of 16th March. Correct. So in the first instance, if it is normal, same agar 90 kilometers hai, then it will end on 15th March. Second day will end on 16th of March. midnight of 15 March is correct, Nidhi. You don't have to say sorry. Your answer is right. ठीक है. सो द इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट इज उस दिन का हम काउंट नहीं करेंगे. नाउ वैलिडिटी पीरियड वी गॉट टू नो. यू हैव अ ऑप्शन टू कैंसल द ई वे बिल. अगर ई वे बिल गलत हो गया तो उसे कैंसिल भी कर सकते हैं. व्हेन विद इन 24 आवर्स ऑफ जनरेशन यू हैव ऑप्शन टू कैंसिल. उसके बाद कैंसिल नहीं कर पाएंगे. अगर आपने ई वे बिल गलती से जनरेट कर दिया और गुड्स ट्रांसपोर्ट नहीं हुए हैं या फिर ट्रांसपोर्ट होके वेरीफाई नहीं हुए हैं, तब आप फिर से गुड्स मंगवा सकते हो. लेकिन एक बार वेरीफाई हो गया तो फिर आपको डिलीवर करना ही पड़ेगा. और अगर ट्रांसपोर्ट ही नहीं किया है, then you can cancel it. Now, एडिटिंग इज नॉट पॉसिबल. आपने कुछ नंबर चेंज कर दिया है, उसको एडिट करना है, रीराइट करना है, वो नहीं कर सकते. यू हैव टू कैंसिल इट. लेकिन कैंसिलेशन के आपको बहुत कम टाइम मिल रहा है, सिर्फ 24 आवर्स. ठीक है. अगर एक सप्लायर ए है, कस्टमर बी को रेस कर रहा है ई वे बिल, तो ई वे बिल जब रेस कर रहा है तब उसे आप सामने वाले को आप भी, अगर गलती जीएसटी डाल दिया है, गलती से रिसिपेंट डाल दिया है, तो वो रिजेक्ट कर सकता है. इसका मतलब रिसीवर जो है वो भी, उसके हाथ में भी पावर है ये बोलने के लिए कि ये मेरा ई वे बिल नहीं है, ये मेरा कंसाइनमेंट नहीं है. वो कैसे कर सकता है? within 72 hours, 72 hours of the details which is made available to him or at the time of delivery, whichever is earlier. उसके पहले रिसीवर रिजेक्ट कर सकता है ये बिल को. अगर कुछ नहीं करता है तो इट इज डीम्ड कि हाँ भाई तुम ही करो. So one is the time limit for the starts from the midnight. You can cancel the e-way bill within 24 hours and the receiver can reject the e-way bill within 72 hours. Now, next aspect is for what documents we have gone all through this. Extension is fine. Import other thing. E-way bill when it is not required. कुछ सब जगहों पे ई वे बिल नहीं चाहिए. These specified products are there, which I will share this with you. For these products, e-way bill is not required. These 8 products and other transactions are there for which e-way bill is not required. For any goods transported by non-motorized conveyance. जब हाथ गाड़ी, बैलगाड़ी उससे आप ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हो तब ई वे बिल की जरूरत नहीं है. गुड्स ट्रांसपोर्टेड फ्रॉम पोर्ट टू इनलैंड कंटेनर डिपो, जब कस्टम्स के 2 पोर्ट के इंटरनल आप ट्रांसफर करते हो तब भी ई वे बिल जरूरत नहीं है. व्हेन मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स विद इन नोटिफाइड एरियाज या फिर मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स ऑफ अल्कोहलिक लिकर फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन, क्योंकि ये जीएसटी के बाहर है तो इसके लिए भी ई वे बिल नहीं चाहिए. वेयर द सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स इज ट्रीटेड एज नो सप्लाई अंडर शेड्यूल 3. जब शेड्यूल 3 में हम थोड़े ट्रांजैक्शंस देखते हैं उसके लिए भी ई वे बिल जरूरत नहीं है. मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस, मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स फ्रॉम नेपाल टू भूटान, consignment between CGSG, LA, central government, state government, local authority. These cases, goods in business of consignor to weighbridge and back up to 20 kilometers. ट्रांसपोर्ट की जगह पे कितना किलोमीटर है? 50 किलोमीटर्स. और weighbridge वहां तक, क्योंकि आपको लॉरी में वेट करना है, वजन देखना है, अप टू 20 किलोमीटर, तब भी आपको ई वे बिल की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. Do you have to learn the list? Yes, you will have to learn this list. Notified areas, they have not notified anything. This list you have to remember, and also this list. LPG cylinders, kerosene, postal baggage, natural pearls, jewelries, currencies, used personal and household effects, coal, coral, unworked and worked coral. जो precious stones हैं उसके लिए ई वे बिल की जरूरत नहीं है. गुड्स अदर देन डी ऑयल के, मतलब जो तेल के बिजनेस में होते हैं डी ऑयल की, उसके लिए भी जरूरत नहीं है.
सर कोरल अनवर्क्ड और वर्क्ड कोरल क्या होता है?
कॉरल्स जो है ना, प्रेशियस स्टोन्स होते हैं. कॉरल्स जो डायमंड्स भी कॉस्टली होते हैं, वो अनवर्क्ड मतलब बिना पॉलिश किए हुए रह सकते या पॉलिश किए हुए कॉरल रह सकते हैं. दोनों के लिए ई वे बिल की जरूरत नहीं है.
ओके सर.
वे ब्रिज मतलब जब आप सब्जियां वे करते हो तो नॉर्मली ऐसे वेइंग मशीन या इलेक्ट्रॉनिक स्केल होता है, लेकिन लॉरी में जो माल होता है उसको कैसे वे करेंगे? तो उसके लिए एक बड़ी मशीन होती है, जैसे एक ब्रिज होता है, ब्रिज के ऊपर लॉरी खड़ी हो जाती है, उससे उसका मेजरिंग करते हैं, उसे कहते हैं वे ब्रिज। तो पहले लॉरी, खाली लॉरी जाएगी, उसका वजन करेंगे, फिर उसके ऊपर माल डालेंगे, फिर वजन करेंगे, तो जो भी डिफरेंशियल रहेगा वो उसके अंदर के माल का वजन पता चल जाएगा। Now, what are the documents to be carried? Invoice, bill of supply या delivery चालान, ई-वे बिल इन फिजिकल फॉर्म, या फिर ई-वे बिल का नंबर काफी है। और अगर इन्हीं ई इनवॉइस का प्रोविजंस है तो फिर ई इनवॉइस रेफरेंस नंबर भी काफी रहेगा, क्योंकि उसमें ही आपको ई-वे बिल भी जनरेट हो जाएगा। वेरिफिकेशन, ऑफिसर इंस्पेक्शन, जब भी आप ट्रांसपोर्ट करते हो तब रास्ते में वेरिफिकेशन कर सकता है। इंस्पेक्शन वेरीफाई करके 24 आवर्स में उसका रिपोर्ट देना है, और फाइनल रिपोर्ट दे 3 दिन के अंदर, कैन बी एक्सटेंडेड बाय फर्दर 3। मतलब जो भी ऑफिसर है उसके पास पावर है कि बीच में आपको गाड़ी को रोक के वो क्वेश्चंस पूछ सकता है, क्वेश्चंस पूछ के इंटरसेक्शन कर सकता है, और वेरिफिकेशन कर सकता है, आपकी गाड़ी का, आपकी गाड़ी की तलाशी ले सकता है। ठीक है। सो दीज आर द पावर्स ऑफ द इंस्पेक्टिंग ऑफिसर्स। A person paying tax under composition scheme. Now, sometimes e-way bill will be blocked. When this will be blocked? When the person paying tax under composition scheme has not furnished 2 consecutive returns, or a person has not furnished 2 tax-paid returns, or a person paying tax under regular scheme has not furnished GSTR1 for 2 months, or a person whose registration is suspended, there you will not be allowed to raise a e-way bill, because you have to be compliant. You are not compliant under this, you're not filing your returns. Composition taxpayer, you are not filed within the time period. You have not filed the returns of the regular taxpayer. You have not filed your GSTR 3B return, you have not filed your GSTR 1 return, or your registration is suspended. You will not be required to file e-way bill. However, if you request the commissioner saying that I will set it right, and the commissioner is satisfied, then the commissioner may allow you to find the details of e-way bill. E-way bill will be blocked for raising, but not for being entered as a recipient. If you want to raise, you cannot raise it. But if the other person, he is blocked, he cannot raise it, but you can mention his number in your e-way bill. Yeah. Now, if the vehicle is detained for more than 30 minutes, then you can complain saying that मेरी गाड़ी 30 मिनट से ज्यादा रोक दी गई है, जो ये गलत है। And permission for allowing to use e-way bill can be given on request by the commission. So that was basically on e-way bill. We'll take some MCQs, but in parallel, you can answer the MCQs. If there's any question, that will also be, we can take it up. एम्बेडेड क्या होता है? एम्बेडेड का मतलब विच इज देयर, मतलब एक डिवाइस होता है, डिवाइस में ही आप डिटेल्स डाल सकते हैं, उसे कहते हैं एम्बेडेड। A lot of confusion. People are confused between A and C. Firstly, editing option is not there under e-way bill. So both E and B is gone here because we have specifically said that editing of e-waybill is not correct. So it has to be C itself because it cancel the e-waybill and generate the new one. Applying to the proper officer to edit that option is not there. So option correct answer is C. Next. Meaning of blocking of e-waybill, blocking means that you will not be permitted to raise a e-waybill. That is the meaning of blocking of e-waybill. If e-waybill cannot be updated, then how conveyance details are updated by transporter in case of emergency? Only part B, that part B details can be updated, not the other details. Second option, again confusion. The answer is D. Both A and D has to be done. The goods are not supposed to be moved and nothing can be done. The transporter may extend the validity period. So A and B can be done. Okay, so more than these MCQs, yeah, I think you're answering them pretty well. Now, what happens to our sweet shop, sweet boxes which are ready, and out of the people who have attended, we will be giving the sweet boxes to majority of them. What are the action you will take? So for the sweet box that is moved from the sweet shop, which is just here, still standing here, the driver is there. He's gone for lunch. He came back. Now he's waiting there. Now, how will you get the sweet boxes? The value of the sweet is more than 50,000, then e-waybill has to be generated. Very good. So yes, we will ask the sweet person that yes, what is the consignment value? He will tell it is one value. Now, should you consider each sweet box or the total for considering the 50,000 rupees? He's saying one sweet box is 500 rupees and you have ordered 500 sweet boxes. एक स्वीट बॉक्स का वैल्यू है 500 रुपीज प्लस जीएसटी and it is 500 into 500 boxes. You will consider total, not individual price. Whole amount. Correct. Because he is giving everything to one person. Had he given it to different people, saying that ठीक है एक आपके घर के अंदर एक आके delivery करेगा, then e-waybill will be not required because the consignment is for each value. For each everybody, he will raise a separate delivery challan or a separate invoice. But in this case, he is raising one invoice to the CA Institute, so it is a one supply. So here the value exceeds 5,500 into 500, 2,50,000. So then e-waybill is required. So you will check that yes, whether invoice is raised, yes, invoice is raised, e-waybill is raised, not raised. So e-waybill has to be raised. Okay. So once you raise the e-waybill and give it to the officer, then he will release the sweets. What is the form to be filled on the common portal for consolidated e-waybill? Fourth one, C. D. Nidhi, your answers are wrong. आप concentrate नहीं कर रहे हो. Everybody else is given the correct answer. No problem. The answer is C. EWB2. Last question before anybody from Board of Studies takes over. Now, only one e-waybill can be generated on one invoice or document. Is it true? Okay, by mistake, fine. But exam में ऐसी गलती मत करना. Because here is fine. This chapter is little tricky and complicated. Oh, what do others feel? Is it tricky? Okay, it is tricky. Fine. So you kind of reverse it and rehearse it. And if there's any questions, do let me know that. Yes, answer is only one e-waybill can be generated on one invoice or document. No, multiple, no. Because in some situations, you can generate two e-waybill for one invoice or document also. So please upload notes of registration, tax invoice, accounts and records. Yes, definitely till e-waybill, whatever are the pending notes, since everything was ready. I had not uploaded. So apologies for it since I missed out, but I will upload everything. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, in bill to ship to model also, you're right, Dev Mitra, that you can raise two e-waybills in case of bill to ship to model. So, madam, the sweet person, Soumya, she is not raised the e-waybill. As I said in the facts earlier, he had only given the invoice. So the officer has held it. He said he will not clear it. And later on, if you raise a e-waybill, that is not acceptable. वो तो फिर सब लोग कर सकते हैं, right? So he is not releasing our goods for non-compliance of the law. He confiscated the goods and then he will kind of levy penalty for not raising the e-waybill. Shubhankar ji, you want to continue? Okay, since nobody is there from the Board of Studies, let's take a few more MCQs then. Yeah, let's take two more because some students have left. Items exempted from e-waybill are which of the following?
Item exempted.
Option D, correct. All of this are exempted from e-waybill. Right. Correct answer is D. No, correct answer is A. Can a composition taxpayer do interstate transactions? He cannot do interstate transactions, so he cannot raise a e-way bill also, right? If he cannot do interstate transaction, how can he raise the interstate invoice then? Many people have given answer as B and D. The answer is A. So connection between one chapter to another chapter is required. Don't forget the other chapters when you're reading another chapter, right? A composition taxpayer cannot do, even I've given the explanation here, but generally in your answers, you will not have such explanations. A composition dealer cannot do a interstate transactions at all. So he cannot raise a e-way bill. Okay. Thank you very much. Apologies again because there was some lot of network issues today. Hopefully next class I will go to the regular place and then we can get into the normal. Kaviti, yes, they can purchase from interstate composition dealers. Yes, interstate they can purchase, but they cannot supply interstate. Yes, thank you too. Take care yourself also. Thank you, Somya. You should also take care. Thank you very much.